As described in previous clips, agencies make law in two forms: regulations and orders. Regulations are promulgated, and orders are either issued or adjudicated. Any other information published by an agency is considered a secondary source. Agencies often perform a quasi-judicial function by holding adjudications and issuing orders. Sometimes these hearings are held by administrative law judges, or ALJs for short, appointed by the agency. Sometimes the full agency governing board hears the case. For example, the National Labor Relations Board, known as the NLRB, decides cases involving alleged unfair labor practices against unions. As part of this process, the NLRB delegates its authority to ALJs. Appeals from ALJ decisions are heard by the board members themselves. Appeals from NLRB decisions are heard by the federal courts. Typically, adjudicative orders read like judicial opinions. For this reason, these agency decisions and orders are typically reported in a separate publication, similar to a case reporter. The NLRB publishes their orders and opinions in a set of books called Decisions and Orders of the National Labor Relations Board. Because they're published separately, these orders are not published in the Federal Register, nor are they codified in the Code of Federal Regulations, or that is, the CFR. Agencies issue many other types of orders that do appear in the Federal Register. For example, consent orders issued as part of a settlement will be published in the Federal Register. The International Trade Administration issues anti-dumping duty orders against foreign countries' products. These appear in the Federal Register as well. In addition to regulations and orders, there are a wide variety of additional administrative and informational materials made available by agencies in many different formats. The challenge in identifying and locating this material is that no two agencies do it quite the same way. Some agencies provide a vast amount of information organized in a logical way. Other agencies provide hardly any information at all. To find out what materials are available, start with the agency website. Look for a tab or a section labeled Publications. If there's nothing called Publications, try Resources, Frequently Asked Questions, or FAQ. It's fairly straightforward to find high-level agency websites if you know the name of the agency. A website called USA.gov features an A to Z index of U.S. government agencies. Check it out directly at www.usa.gov/federal-agencies/A. This list presents two challenges. The first problem is that it lists only the official name of the agency. The second problem, it lists agencies at the highest level and only provides a random selection of lower-level entities. For example, the Environmental Appeals Board, or EAB, a board within the Environmental Protection Agency, does not appear on the list, but the Endangered Species Program, a program within the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, does. Even if you know that the Environmental Appeals Board is part of the Environmental Protection Agency, you still have to know to look under the Office of Administration and Resources Management page to find the link on the EPA's website. Sometimes it's easier just to Google. An important category of administrative materials is advisory in nature. A great example of this is the body of materials produced by the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS. The IRS issues a wide variety of documents to help taxpayers, accountants, and attorneys understand how to interpret IRS regulations. These include revenue rulings, which explain how the law applies to a specific factual scenario, revenue procedures, which explain the internal practices and procedures of the IRS, and letter rulings, which describe how the IRS will treat a future transaction and are applicable only to the taxpayer who asks for the ruling. These publications are an extremely valuable source of analysis and interpretation. They address specific situations and come straight from agencies themselves. Agencies create a wealth of documents, databases, and collections that live on agency websites, some of which may be published in print. These include fact sheets, brochures, posters, notices, handbooks, and statistical databases, to name a few. Publications.usa.gov is a website listing hundreds of informational publications from a wide variety of agencies. For example, Prepare for Emergencies Now, Information for Pet Owners, is a brochure issued by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, commonly known as FEMA, describing what steps to take to help your pet survive a natural disaster. That concludes our tutorial on understanding regulations and administrative law. Please take the quiz for this clip to gauge your understanding of everything we discussed, and then you'll be ready to complete the final exam for this tutorial.